To celebrate Project Sekai's anniversary, I wanted to make all the unit leaders' favorite recipes. So if you didn't know, each character has a favorite food listed on their profile, and I thought it would be fun to try making the unit leaders' favorites. But I should mention that I am not an amazing chef. I'm going to try my best in this video, but it might be a little rough at some points. And I'm also a little bit of a picky eater, so I might leave out like 1 or 2 ingredients here and there that I don't like. But basically, I'm just gonna try my best and we'll just see what happens. Ichika's favorite foods are yakisoba buns, which are hot dog buns filled with yakisoba, which is a stir-fry made with chuka soba noodles, vegetables, and Worcestershire like sauce seasoned with salt and pepper. So here are all the ingredients I'm going to be using. I couldn't find brioche buns, but I just ended up using potato rolls. And I bought this entire thing of seaweed, and I literally only need 1 nori sheet from it, so whoops. So the first thing you're going to do is salt your water and wait for it to boil. And while you're waiting for the water to boil, thinly slice your carrots. Also, ignoring these clips that I'm wearing a Spy X Family bracelet when I'm making a video about Project Sekai, my bad. Do we consider this thinly sliced? I don't know, maybe I'm doing this entirely wrong, but these are our carrots and this is what we're working with. And I'm really glad that I bought an entire bag of them. Now I can eat more carrots. I can make this recipe so many times. I really hope I like this recipe. I kind of don't want to cut another carrot because I feel like this is just so much already. But I kind of already washed the other carrot, so we have to do this now. But yeah, basically you just keep cutting your carrots. This took honestly more than I'd like to admit. Maybe my knife just wasn't that sharp, but I don't know. You just keep going, cut your carrots, you will get there eventually. Then, once your water is boiling, put in your noodles and proceed to spill them and make a mess absolutely everywhere. There's a lot falling out. Okay, I just have to get this out. I have to get this out, man. Okay. I feel like that's enough. Now I have to clean up the absolute mess that I just made. Yeah, that was my bad. I just cleaned up the noodles. Afterwards, thinly cut 1/4 of a cabbage. I accidentally cut my cabbage very unevenly, but it's fine, just don't focus on that. So once that's done, heat a little oil over medium heat and add your carrots. Cook for 5 to 7 minutes, stirring the carrots occasionally. And if you wanted onions, this is where you would add them, but I don't like them, so I just left them out. Then afterwards, add the cabbage and cook for another 3 to 4 minutes, and here make sure to add your salt and pepper. Next, add the noodles in about 1/3 cup of water or about 80 milliliters of water. Then cover the pan and reduce the heat. Keep the lid on for 2 minutes, and then afterwards uncover and let simmer until the water evaporates. Afterwards, add 6 tablespoons of the yakisoba sauce and mix it around until the stir fry is completely covered in it, then take the pan off the heat. Now just assemble the buns by putting the yakisoba in the buns and topping them with thinly cut nori sheets. You can also add pickled ginger too, but I left it out because I'm not a big fan of that. And I also lightly toasted my buns off camera, but that was optional. And now your yakisoba buns are done. So these were kind of sweet, and honestly, at first I thought the recipe called for way too much sauce, but honestly the sauce is quite subtle and I like it. It's also a little soft, but the carrots and lettuce give it a good crunch in my opinion. And I honestly found the nori kind of overpowering, but I think that's probably because I used olive oil flavored ones. And overall, I'm not obsessed with this, but it's not bad. It was pretty solid. Now on to Minori, whose favorite food is salmon. I honestly don't really like seafood in general, but I still want to try making a salmon recipe. So I'm just going to be making salmon with garlic butter. I ended up making this with a friend and her sister, so they'll be helping me out with this recipe. So here are all the ingredients for this recipe. Your thing, mince your garlic. And after preheating the oven, mince 2 cloves of garlic. My friend minced the garlic for us, and as you can see, she is extremely qualified. No way! Is that how you peel garlic?
Oh, you're supposed to peel. I'm curious,
do you want to try it? I mean, I wouldn't advise you, but you have your own free will.
I kind of want to try a whole.
You want to?
No. Here.
Here, you can have a whole thing. Okay.
Oh, don't think it
like
tastes
that.
Spicy.
It's spicy.
So yeah, just honestly keep mincing it until it looks small enough for your preference.
We gave cocoa grapes.
Are you okay?
Was that a triggering word? Oh. Well, she's throwing up. Okay. That's what happens. Alright, that's
So life lesson, don't eat an entire piece of garlic. Next, in a bowl of melted butter, add lemon juice and the minced garlic. But I was being dumb and I put the seasonings in the bowl instead, so that's my bad. We added those ingredients later though, so we saved the recipe, like, it's fine. But in my bowl I added salt, pepper, oregano, and red pepper flakes and then whisked it all together. Real good, show me how it's done!
Alright. So you have to start off from the top and just go all the way down in circles and make sure you get the middle especially, and there you go.
That seems like a lot. I feel like this is gonna give me high cholesterol.
We oiled our pan, but the recipe says to use aluminum foil and wrap it around the salmon, but we didn't have that, so that's my bad again. But we just placed the salmon onto the oiled pan and it was fine, it worked.
Why is that one so thick? That's what she said.
Look at it though!
It's true, it's a lot thicker than the rest. Look at that.
You should place them like
Nicely.
yeah.
Should we make a
What?
square?
What is? Looks like a summoning circle. Now add the butter onto the salmon. We added the garlic on top as well because we forgot to add it to the butter earlier. We also seasoned it more because I was stupid and put the seasoning in the butter, but that's on me for not reading it correctly. But yeah, that's it. Just put the salmon into the oven and wait for it to cook. And honestly, I forgot how long we cooked it for, but our salmon was frozen and not totally defrosted, so we just kept checking up on it and we took it out when it looked ready.
Alright. How is it?
It's hot is what it is, so I'm not trying to burn my mouth.
Okay. Okay, just go. Ow!
There you go.
Alright, eat it. Taste it.
Those are the same things. What did you just drown it in lemon?
Cheers. Oh.
Cheers.
I got you. I don't want the skin.
Okay, sorry. Don't have to yell at me. Yeah, you can have it.
Alright. Pour that.
It's not. It's just the taste. It tastes like the ocean.
It tastes like the ocean.
It does taste like the ocean.
But this is farm raised.
But I like it.
Tastes like a farm. And honestly, it's not the seasoning that was the issue. It's just the way fish tasted. Even though I used farm raised salmon, it just still tasted very salty and like seawater, and that just wasn't my thing. But honestly, I just don't like seafood that much. But my friend and her sister said it was good and they ate it all, so I think if you like salmon, this is probably a good recipe for you. So here's what I ended up eating up. It is literally just a plate of beige food.
Like, what? Like, cover the camera and then go like that. Like,
What?
no, like,
So wait. I don't understand.
Too much.
Anyway. So now on to Kohani, who has two favorite foods, sesame balls and peach buns, but I decided to make sesame balls because I'm not gonna lie, the recipe looked a lot more straightforward. Jindoi, also known as sesame balls, are Chinese recipe made with glutinous rice flour. The outside is crispy and chewy, but they're hollow inside so you can add fillings. But for this video, I'm just going to make basic sesame balls without any filling. But first, a little cat break. But anyways, here's all the ingredients we're going to be using for the recipe. I don't know why I put salt there. There's no salt in this recipe. Ignore that. First, add the glutinous rice flour and sugar into a bowl, then mix. Add in hot water and mix again. Unfortunately, my dough was very liquidy and the recipe said to knead the dough here, but I literally couldn't. It was just way too liquidy. But like, that's my fault and I think I added too much water. But then my recipe said to add room temperature water, and now when I look back on it, I can't find that step. Like, I think they must have edited the recipe or something. Like, this is just really confusing, and I'm so sorry because this does not get better. And I just want to apologize before we go further because I kind of butchered this recipe. Do we consider this a dough or just liquid? I don't know. I'm just gonna cover it and let it rest though, because I've never made these before and I don't want to be like, I know better than the recipe, because let's be real, I fucking don't. But after that, I left the dough aside for 30 minutes and just let it do its thing. The recipe said to put the sesame seeds into a strainer and run water over them to make them moist, but my strainer was too big for the sesame seeds, so instead I put them into a pot and filled it with water and then used a lid to drain the water. Extremely scuffed, I know, but I was just trying my best to improvise. Hello? What are you doing? You scared me. So remember how I said I wasn't going to mess with the recipe? I did. When it was resting, I tried adding more glutinous rice flour into the dough because it was just so liquidy, but it really didn't help that much. So unfortunately, to try saving the dough, I put in regular flour. I'm so sorry that you have to watch this because it genuinely looks awful. I was just so desperate to make some kind of dough that I could actually work with. Okay, so I know this is not authentic at all, but like I'm adding regular, I have this kind of flour and I've been adding it and trying to knead it into the dough. And it's like a lot less sticky now. I'm so sorry though. I know this isn't the way you're supposed to do it and I feel like I'm messed up, and I understand if you think this is a crime against humanity because the thing I have here on my cutting board does not look appetizing at all. Next, I just cut the dough into 8 pieces and rolled them into little balls in between my palms. They didn't really want to hold their shape, but honestly, I just tried my best. This recipe just was really fucked up at this point because of me trying to modify and save it. I am so sorry. I really did not do this recipe justice. Then I just rolled the dough in the sesame seeds and made sure they were all coated. Then afterwards came the frying, which I was totally not scared at all for. I worry, but it's fine. Everything is fine. Positive affirmations. So they really don't look pretty in the end, but that is 100% my fault. But honestly, they were surprisingly good. Like, I really failed because there is no hollow inside, it is just dough. But they're really chewy in the center and the outside is really crunchy, and like that was a cool combination. I personally really liked it. And together the sesame and sugar actually made like a really cool flavor combo, and overall it was kind of more sweet, but I honestly really like these. I would 100% make these again because they definitely taste much better if I made them right, but I even made this fucked up version and they still tasted pretty good. Now on to Sakasa, who has 2 favorite foods, ginger pork and aqua pazza. I really hope I said that right, I'm so sorry. But in the end I decided to make ginger pork because, like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of seafood and aqua pazza has bass in it. Pork shogoyaki, aka ginger pork, is simply thinly sliced pork in a sauce typically of ginger, soy sauce, and mirin. First, I made the marinade by combining soy sauce, sake, but in between the soy sauce and the sake, I realized that the bowl I was using was leaking, so I just switched to a different bowl. But then I also added mirin and grated ginger root. This entire piece of ginger root, and I only need 1 tablespoon. Apparently this is supposed to be enough for like a pound of pork. Feels like not that much to me, but like, I don't know, maybe a little goes a long way, so we'll just see what happens. Next, thinly slice the pork loin. I honestly was just really grossed out. I fucking hate preparing raw meat. I've only done it one before and I hated it the entire time. So I was doing everything in my power to not touch this while I was cutting it. I know, insert obligatory joke about being a lesbian here, whatever. Then add the pork loin into the marinade and mix it all around until it's all covered. Then cover the bowl and then set it aside to marinate for an hour. So while that was marinating, I decided to pass the time. after an hour has passed, heat some oil in a pan over high heat and like be really careful because the oil will go literally everywhere. Then add the pork and constantly stir it so it doesn't burn. But I kind of messed up because during this process I took the pork off the heat before it was completely cooked. I was just so scared of the oil, it was just not a fun time. But in the end, some of the thicker pieces were a little pink in the middle. When I noticed, I immediately cooked the pork again on low heat. Just be mindful of that if you ever make this yourself. I also heard that before cooking the pork on high heat, you should boil it so it'll be completely cooked, but I think honestly cooking it on a lower heat is okay as long as it's completely cooked through. And honestly, this tasted pretty good. You definitely taste the ginger the most, but it's not that overwhelming. To be fair, I eyeballed the ginger, so maybe that's on me, but I don't know. And honestly, I was kind of worried that the ratio of the marinade to the pork would be off, but I'm glad I trusted the process because it ended up being a good amount. And honestly, the most stressful part of this was the cooking. It was a little scary, I'm not going to lie, the oil was terrifying. But overall, I think this is like nothing crazy, but I still think it's not bad. It was pretty good, I ate it. Now on to Kanade, whose favorite foods are instant ramen and canned food, but for this video I decided to make instant ramen, and honestly I don't really think it needs an explanation, so I'm just gonna make it. Really all you need for this recipe is some instant ramen. I'm using Maruchan, and a kettle to boil your water in. So just fill up the kettle with some water. I just got mine from the sink. Then put it onto the stove and just wait for it to boil. Come on, whistle, yes! Yay, you did it! It did the thing. Oh shit. I don't know. Now just open up the instant ramen and pour the boiling water up to the fill line. I don't have any cute noodle stoppers, so I just put my chopsticks on top of the lid to keep it closed while it was cooking. Then once it was done, I just mixed it up a little bit and there you go. That was the easiest recipe in this entire video. And then I remembered I had this Kanade trading card, so I fed her some of the noodles. I don't even know at this point. And honestly, I don't really know what to say about this because this was of course good, nothing like crazy exciting, but I ate that shit up. It was good. You can really basically never go wrong with cup noodles. So those are all the recipes that I made, and in the end, I would say my, from least favorite to most favorite was, personally I think my least favorite was the salmon, just because I don't like seafood. My next least favorite was probably the yakisoba buns. They weren't bad, just nothing too crazy about them. Then in third place, I would say the ginger pork. That was pretty alright, it's just the cooking process was a little scary. And then the next was the sesame balls because I know these would be so much better if I made them the right way and didn't fuck up the recipe, but even then, they were still like edible. I ate them. And then in first place is the instant ramen, which I know boring, but it is really hard to fuck that up. So yeah, that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.